If you're ready to take back control of your health, you're in the right place. Welcome to Awaken Wellness with me, Tanya Candy, registered nurse and health coach. Now, I'm not your typical nurse. I consider myself divorced from traditional healthcare. I broke free of the sick care system in 2019 when I realized that the root cause to my sickness, my autoimmune disease, and my chronic pain was me. If you're ready for truth, for clarity, for honesty in a tough, love, compassionate way, I'm the coach for you. Join me while we dig into our root causes of sickness and disease. Right. Hello, everybody. It is our full moon live coaching with me, Tanya Candy, and hopefully between all these platforms, I'll catch somebody here going live with me. I do have my comments on, so if you drop in, please do say hi. Let me know who you are and where you're coming from. I am live right now on a few different platforms. I should really just get on my phone and go live on TikTok as well. Let's see if I can pull that off. And this eclipse is maybe I can. I'm just going to give it a try here. I might as well get the most bang for my time here, right? So if I'm talking to one platform, I might as well multitask and get going. I'm gonna try that. We'll see how it works. I don't have anything fancy to set my phone on, and I don't want to hold it. All right, so it is full moon time. If you're local, like I'm here in Sidney, Montana, and we had a viral Facebook video going around. There was a local guy who ate at our Burger King and literally found what looked to be tapeworm segments like live in his Burger King burger. Like, how alarming is that? Even coming from myself, like somebody who has passed a ton of parasites, never like live that like you could see like that. So the thought of live bugs is totally freaky. So of course he did stop in, and I gave him some advice, and I sold him a Cellcore full moon parakeet. We'll talk about that a little bit more during this video. Let's see. I had to get myself organized. So if you just popped in and you're watching on TikTok, I am not paying attention to comments during this video. I'm also live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. So sorry if you're commenting on TikTok, I'm not going to see them. If you've got some questions or something that you want to add, I encourage you to just shoot me a message. My profiles on all my social media are open, so you can message me, or you can email me on all platforms. My link in bio has got that information. So back to this poor young man who found the living tapeworm in his food. If you go to my TikTok and you scroll back a few videos, I did screen record his original video without the cussing and the sound. And I just couldn't not share that. It was too wild. It was not fake. It was totally real. He walked into my store and said, "Okay, I'm the guy from the video. What do I need to do about this? I just potentially ate live tapeworm." So totally. But it really gets you thinking about our food. I always say it's not the stuff that you can see with your eyes that you need to worry about. It's the microscopic stuff that you can't see that you need to worry about, those eggs and all that stuff. So I'm Nurse Tanya. I am a Cellcore practitioner, and we do parasite cleansing the best. The absolute best, the most thorough, the most complete. No, it is not a simple DIY, take 3 tinctures for 2 weeks or a month and call it done. In my experience, as a functional health practitioner, that is what gets people in worse shape years down the road, months down the road even, is when you do these low budget, over the counter parasite cleanses. About really all that does is piss them off, and it just makes them drive deeper into your tissue and become more resistant. So as far as I'm concerned, as somebody who has rolled back fibromyalgia, who has passed a ton of parasites, like go to my YouTube, go to my TikTok, scroll back, and you'll see some of that nasty footage. I, as a nurse, have looked through my own poop and really looked to see what was coming out of me. A lot of people are not going to do that. It's not required. If you're working with me as a client, you don't have to do that. But as a nurse and as a science fiend, like, this is the stuff I want to know. How did I get to be so I always say lousy, but infested with parasites? I think it came down to years and years and years of low stomach acid and stress. In my 20s and 30s, I had all the normal stressors, 2 kids, went through a divorce, working 2 jobs, raising these kids, and I lived on stress, junk food, and Diet Coke. Like, just kind of a normal type individual, right? And I had chronic heartburn, like always had heartburn. So I was on Protonix or omeprazole, or Protonix is like a before omeprazole went over the counter, when you still had to get it from a doctor. Protonix is kind of a level up proton pump inhibitor. So probably, I bet, for 15 years. And now, knowing what I know, yes, I'm an RN. I keep my license. I am very integrative. I'm not all medical is bad. I'm not all, I'm not, you don't have to do it all herbal, all organic. I am very integrative. There's a time and place for both of these things, for sure. There is a time and a place for all things, right? For me, in my history, I do know that if you've got chronic heartburn like that, there's a trigger. It's not that your stomach is producing too much acid, it's a lactic acid issue, and there's a trigger. So when I started looking into this from a different perspective, doing food allergy testing, food sensitivities, like, my gut was so leaky and so terrible. And that is a whole nother video, a whole nother topic about fixing that gut. If we can't fix the gut, we can't fix anything. But back when I didn't know, and I lived on Diet Coke, junk food, and stress, and proton pump inhibitors, when you take away that stomach acid, nothing else works right in your digestion. Like, nothing else works right. So if you have chronic gastritis, that was my diagnosis. I did the tests, the up the butt scope, the down the mouth scope, and that's what they found was gastritis. You have chronic gastritis. And at one point, my hemoglobin was under 7. Like, I had to have a blood transfusion. And that is how big a mess I was. And that was just the digestive symptoms that I'm going to share today. Like, I had crazy irritable bowel, all sorts of nasty issues. And a lot of it you're not going to find in my medical record. I had all of the classic fibromyalgia issues, but there too, as a nurse, I didn't even bother getting a diagnosis because I knew, even before I knew this different perspective, that that diagnosis would mean gabapentin and muscle relaxers and just a bunch of medication to cover up my symptoms. But I was getting to a point where this chronic pain and these health things were really, really starting to affect my way of life. So I went looking for different answers. And that's where I got educated. That's where I dug into functional health and functional medicine and started looking at the body as a Swiss watch. And, we can't just go tweak on our endocrine system and not think it's going to affect our thyroid, or it is our thyroid, or our digestion, or vice versa. All these things work together. Totally work together. You can't just go tweak on one area and not have some blowback. Okay. So that is the basis to where I am right now and the foundation of my own story. Most of my clients are very similar to me because like attracts like, right? So I am driven, I'm ambitious. Even when I was sick, I never lost that motivation, that want to learn, to educate myself, to do better. So that's how most of my clients are. They're very driven. They don't like the status quo. They don't like to be lied to. They just want to know the truth. Like, do you want to know the truth? And as a nurse in healthcare, it's like I can't say that it's all a lie. It's just programming. It's a certain way we are taught. It's a certain way we're programmed to think. When I came over to the functional side, to this perspective, it's like changing religions. Like everything is different. You're looking at everything with different vernacular. And I had gone through this period of time working as a nurse where I was just shut off. Like I didn't want to know anything else about healthcare. I was just sick of it. And I didn't feel like I was helping anybody. I didn't feel like that was what I signed up for. Like I went to nursing school as my second career. I was a hairdresser first. I went back to school to be a nurse because I had this deep passion and desire to help people. So then I get into it. I get into nursing and I'm just like, oh, who is this helping? How are we helping things? All I'm doing is running around like a chicken with my head cut off all day. I can barely have a conversation with a person. This is hospital nursing. I worked in the hospital. I worked for an ENT. I worked at a walk-in clinic. And mostly, though, in my nursing career, I worked in corrections. So a lot of psychosocial, a lot of these things. But I had gotten to the point where I felt like the system was so broken. All we were doing was coding and billing. Who's going to pay for what? How are we going to get it paid for? You can't do this. You have to do that. And nobody had time to sit with you, the patient, and say, hey, why don't you tell me what's really going on? You didn't have, that luxurious 15 minutes to have a conversation with somebody. So anyway, I had just really got shut off, like walled myself off for it. I was just doing the job, collecting the paycheck. I was just there. I didn't want to know any more education. I just was going to keep going through life for the paycheck. And then because of my own health, because of my own falling apart and my chronic pain, it was looking like I was going to need back surgery. And I was just in constant pain and a mess. And I didn't like any of the answers that were presented to me. I didn't want to cover up symptoms with medication. Like I knew that the common denominator to all of my problems had to be me. There had to be some way that I could take responsibility for this mess that I was in and move forward. So that was really, as the years go by, it's probably been about 5.5 to 6 years now since I went and got re-educated on the functional side, got a certification in restorative health coaching, started learning about herbs, started learning about doing things differently with the body. And then it has been a couple years now that I teamed up with a company called Cellcore Biosciences, and they changed my life. And that's where I'm going with this parasite talk. So a lot of people do some parasite cleanses, and I know not everybody has the answers. Not everybody is as sick as I was, and not everybody has got these big chronic issues. But where I'm at now, I do bioenergetic testing, I do functional testing. So we want to know everything about you. We want to go way back even to your mom's pregnancy. And we're going to work on your roots and the weeds that are growing in your body, in your compost pile. So we look at things emotionally, trauma, physical injuries, all of those things, right? They all go together. So it's so hard. When I'm doing these videos, I'm watching on TikTok and people are jumping on and people are jumping off. So you never know where we're at in this conversation if you're just new. If you are just jumping into this, if you're on TikTok, I am live on Facebook and YouTube as well. So the full length video will be stored there. You can go to my link in bio and you can find me on YouTube or Facebook. Facebook, I probably won't leave the video up indefinitely, but it'll be there for a while. So background noise, that was like 17 minutes worth of me rattling. But all of that is so important, because if you choose to work with me, if you want me to be your person, you need to know who I am. Also on YouTube, you can go, I think it might be like under live or somewhere, but I've got my personal testimony. I've got like my religious and spiritual, where I'm at. A lot of people, when we start to talk about energy, we start to talk about parasites, it can really freak a Christian out. So I am absolutely a follower of Yahweh, the Most High God. You can check out that information about me under YouTube. Because, like I say, if we're going to get together, if I'm going to help you heal, you need to know who I am. I'll find out who you are, because you're going to be the main subject in our conversations. It's going to be all about you, but you want to know who you're teamed up with. I want to know anyway, if we are spiritually compatible, if we're mentally compatible, because I'm going to go into those conspiracies and those rabbit trails, and there's just not much really that I'm not willing to at least listen to. I'm not going to subscribe to it all, but I'm going to listen. There isn't, too many things out there that a person could really shock me with at this point. Parasites, when it comes to parasites, they are demonic, period. Sometimes they came in because we have low stomach acid. Sometimes they came in because of ritualistic abuse. Sometimes, they are a dark and evil presence. Myself personally, when I first started sloughing parasites, I could literally feel the realm of death leaving my body. And at that point, I didn't realize that I was spiritually oppressed, but I was. When those parasites, I started flushing them down the toilet and out of my body, literally my spiritual ears, my spiritual eyes, all of that just started reawakening. So it's so much more than this physical realm than a person thinks. If you are suffering with diseases like cancer, cysts, autoimmune conditions, all of it, in my humble opinion, goes back to a parasitic issue. In my blanketing, fungal, candida, it's all parasites. Anything that is growing within your body that you're the host for, I consider a parasite. When I work with clients with Cellcore Biosciences, we get to it all. We get to the Lyme, which is absolutely a bioweapon. It's a bioweapon. Like chemtrails, all of that. None of that is off the table. None of that is like not affecting you. There is nobody here that is immune to it, whether it's the EMF, the cell phone towers. Lately, a lot of the stuff, the sickness and disease that people have been suffering with, in my, again, humble opinion, those energies are being amped up. Right across from my store is a cell phone tower, and that energy, they're cranking it up. When they crank it up, our body reacts to it and will start to detox, and it will look like a virus. It will look like a sickness, but it's your detox system. It is a triggered, that whatever it is was already in you. That amped up energy is just making your body deal with it and trying to detox it out of you. So again, we're here. If you are on any of these social medias watching, looks like there's a bunch of people on Facebook and a bunch of people on YouTube, but nobody's even saying hi. Like, come on, at least say hi. TikTok, sorry if there's any questions or comments. I don't have reading glasses on and I really can't see that screen anyway. So I do appreciate that. If you're there and you're making a comment, if you would like to get in touch with me, just send me a direct message, because the comments go away on TikTok. You don't get to see them. At least on other social medias, I can go back. And if you're catching the video on a replay, you can type replay. So let's get into this full moon thing. Before I knew about Cellcore, this is like my little full moon parakit chart. We'll talk about that a little bit. Before I knew about Cellcore, I had started doing fenbendazole. Where's my camera? Fenbendazole. So I had a neighbor that I was helping to, he had come home on hospice way too young with colon cancer. And it was really eye-opening to me. I started helping his wife dig into alternative things. What can we do to fight this problem, right? And that's where I came across the fenbendazole and the Joe Tippins protocol. So boom, like that, I was in. Knowing what I know from functional health, the Joe Tippins protocol makes so much sense. And I sell the OncoAdjust products. They are a company that has partnered with Joe Tippins in these later stages. He wasn't original with them, but they have designed these products. They partnered together, and they're called Pathways. So those products, I have them on the shelf. Sorry, I didn't bring them over to show you, but you can go to my website. You can go to my store. That's where you're going to find them. Click on them. You can get more information. I do have a couple of discount codes. If you want those codes, message me or something, because I don't remember what they are. But anyway, those pathways, they are all about the liver. Cancer itself is a metabolic disease. Like, it has its own metabolism. It like has its own life force. It needs its own energy. And those pathways, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they're all about slowing down the growth and halting that metabolic process of the disease itself. But they really work in your liver pathways. So, and that's like where I'm at. If you have cancer, your immune system wasn't okay. Like, you probably didn't know that it wasn't okay, but your liver and your immune system was not okay. There's a good chance something wasn't working right in those pathways, like hand gestures, right? There's a phase through your liver. There's a 1, 2, 3, and out. So your liver has to take every toxin, every hormone, every substance, and move it through these methylation phases. And there can be genetic issues that things aren't able to move through there. There can be vitamin deficiencies. Like, some people have got issues with B vitamins or amino acids. even your just your energy, like your ATP cycle. So something's not working right there. So I love to do some genetic testing. I've got a little cheek swab, and it's you get all those genetic SNPs. Like a lot of people have heard of the MTHFR, but you haven't probably heard of the COMT, OMP. Those genes, you probably haven't heard of the MTRR or all of these genes. We need to know about you in particularly and what is going on in your body when it comes to those genetic things. We always say that your genetics load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. And even if some of those genes have gotten triggered on and are not working like they should be, as we heal the body, as we detox, they can turn back off. So I'm a firm believer that your body can heal from anything. When you, one, remove what is not supposed to be in there, and two, replenish specifically what is missing, right? So there's that. I started out saying I had been doing the Fen-Phen because of that neighbor of mine, and I had for years, well, like I said earlier, all those GI issues, and I would have some really crazy things that would happen in my colon on a way too routine basis. It totally was not normal by any means, but I didn't doctor for it outside of that. After I did the whole EGD and the proton pump inhibitors, I just kind of, I don't know. As a nurse, I just, it's stupid really, and probably egotistical, but I didn't want the poking and prodding, and I didn't trust the system. So anyway, prophylactically, had been doing the dog dewormer for about 7 months, every full moon. And I always had loose stools, so I had some pretty strange stuff coming out in the toilet, but I hadn't done the research. Nobody I knew was talking about parasites. I wasn't really on social media or TikTok. I just did it. I felt like divine intuition, whatever you call it. I just did it. But I was dumb because I didn't know about binders. I didn't know about CellCore. I didn't know about doing it right. I was just doing it. And then I had been doing that for about 7 months. And then I was introduced to the CellCore company and the CellCore products. And when I started taking them, I quit the Fen-Phen for, it was a while. It might have been even close to a year, and was just doing the CellCore steps, working through the parasite cleanse and the complete detox. And I am still working through it. Like, this isn't a thing where you arrive. Like, we live in a super, super toxic world. So like, I will always be on maintenance. I will always be taking the CellCore binders because I don't want to live in fear of tap water. I don't want to live in fear of eating out. And, I still eat, I try to eat classier junk food, but I still eat junk food. And I don't want to live in fear of losing my health again because of not being able to eat perfectly. Like, the stress, a lot of us, it's so hard. And like, we have this thing, like, it's all or nothing, right? Like, we stay out of this health space because we know we can't do it perfectly. We can't buy all organic food, and we don't want to. We still want to eat out. We still want to be normal. So you just don't try. And I really, really encourage you to not be that person. Like, don't do that. Don't just not try because you think you can't do it all. So there, for me, that's my crutch. The CellCore products are my crutch. They help me to maintain the health that I've achieved. I have not arrived. I've got plenty of room to go, to grow. I have not arrived, but thank God I'm not where I used to be. And getting here to this place, it's been a fabulous, fabulous ride. It has cost me a lot financially. None of this is cheap. I've had to do a lot of trial and error, and testing. I've spent a ton of money in functional testing and getting advice and getting help, but it's totally all worth it. I am worth it. My health is worth it. All of it to me is like an insurance. Um, I don't pay insurance. We don't subscribe to health insurance. To me, that is a completely fear-based model, just totally selling fear. So I take what it would cost us as self-employed individuals. I take what it would cost us per month for health insurance, and that is my budget for supplement, for better food, for testing, for those things. And that's the insurance, like here today, not the what ifs down the road. What if I did actually get cancer? Well, I would fight it my way. I wouldn't, like if I got in a car wreck, then I'll make payments or whatever. I'm just not going to live in this fear-based model. Okay, so sorry I get so distracted. Back to not knowing any better. So not knowing any better. And then when I started taking the CellCore products, we always recommend that you start off, that you don't just jump into a Parakit, where like at the beginning of this, if you were here, if you weren't, sorry, you have to go back and rewatch it. But at the beginning of this, I was talking about the guy at our local Burger King who literally had visible tapeworm segments in his food. So that's a different thing. I did recommend him just go ahead and do the Parakit and start and really get on that mimosa pudica. The mimosa pudica is gonna, get this live action thing that may or may not be happening in its body. Outside of that, we want people to start with the Jumpstart Kit. We want people to start with step 1. And step 1 is preparing your body. It is increasing your mitochondrial energy. So if you have disease in your body, your mitochondria is low vibration. If you are full of inflammation, if you're full of parasites, if you're full of disease, you're vibrating way down here at an unhealthy level. So we're going to start, and the BCATP is going to start bringing your mitochondrial energy up. Like your mitochondria are the little powerhouses of the cell. So basic 101, right? And science class led us to believe like there was one per cell. There's not one per cell. There's hundreds, maybe thousands per cell, except for your red blood cells. But anyway, your mitochondria, tumors, disease, so many disease processes happen because your mitochondria is not functioning, right? So if you just were to randomly start doing a parasite cleanse with whatever tincture or whatever you decided to buy, and your poor immune system and your mitochondria are way down here, barely have enough energy to get by on a normal day, and then you start to kill parasites and you start introducing these aggressive herbs, like your poor body can't handle that. I'm going to talk about that mitochondria shift a little bit, and just like on a basic kindergarten level, I'm not going to get the slides out and get all fancy, but your mitochondria, either 1, works for your immune system, or 2, builds energy. And if you believe you are full of parasites or old viruses, if you've got Epstein-Barr, Hashimoto's, shingles, blah, 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 all those things, those old viruses, okay, so that's a whole different story, but you, my friend, are not the host. It's a parasite. If you've got Hashimoto, active Epstein-Barr, you have a parasite problem. It's not that it's stuck in your thyroid. It's in the parasite. We've got to get the parasites cleaned up first. Okay, so mitochondria. If you have got parasites, mitochondria issues, your mitochondria is busy all day, every day, just trying to deal with those problems, right? So you don't have enough over here to make energy. It can kind of do one or the other. So if you're really fatigued and tired all the time, like to your core tired, it's more than stress. It is more than likely a parasite issue. And your mitochondria is just doing all it can to get you through a day. And there's no extra energy. We got to raise your vibration so your mitochondria can function. You don't want to go just start randomly killing parasites when you're that tanked in the first place. I mean, you can, but it's not going to be fun. It's going to be so hard on your already fragile system. So month 1 with Cellcore, at least 1 month. If you are constipated, then this step might take 3 months. Don't do any kind of parasite cleanse if you are not pooping every day. So important. And sometimes as a practitioner, that can be the hardest thing. And it can take months to get somebody who is chronically constipated to pooping. It's about their gut. It's about their thyroid. Sometimes it's about their hormones and their progesterone levels. Like, it can take a lot. Sometimes they're emotionally constipated, and we've got to do some intense work just to get them pooping. So if you don't poop every day or multiple times a day, do not do a parasite cleanse. We talk about this drainage funnel. So try to get in all my cameras here. This drainage funnel, your colon is down here, your lymph system is up at the top, your lymph and all of that, your lungs, your small intestine, all of that is in between. And if you're plugged here at the colon, well, one, you're super, super toxic, my friend. If you don't have rashes and skin problems, I'd be surprised. But we have got to get this colon open before we do any work up here. And a lot of people, a lot of practitioners, if somebody's got Lyme disease or they've got other problems, the Lyme is way up here in a lot of it in that lymph work. You can't just start up here with that Lyme issue. You got to start down here with that gut and the colon and get that all open. So in the Jumpstart kit, there's a product called CT Minerals. It just literally is mineral replenishing. We always have to take really good care of minerals. That needs to be in a good place. It needs to stay in a good place while we're doing all this work, or the body just can't do it. That also, the CT Minerals really helps start breaking down those biofilms. And it has a little bit of a binder to it. It's got fulvic acid, so it's going to start breaking down those biofilms. Those biofilms can be in any part of your body. And they're like this nasty matrix that hides pathogens from your immune system. Like your bladder can have a biofilm around it. So if you've got chronic bladder issues, we need to work on that biofilm. Your joints can have biofilm in that cavity. We need to work on your biofilms. What else in the So we talked about BCATP, we talked about CT Minerals, then we have Kale Support. That's just super nice herbal blend that's going to start waking up your kidneys and liver. A lot of people just in their first month on that product will have some diffuse, like mid-back pain. I always kind of warn people, if that happens, that is your kidneys just kind of waking up. Usually they don't feel the liver pain at this point, or that liver wake up. It's just kind of more those kidneys. So a lot of times back pain, if you're at the chiropractor all the time for back pain, it's probably your organs. It could be your kidneys, it could be your liver, or just your colon inflammation. Like your colon can be so inflamed and it's sitting right on your spinal cord. Like degeneration, spinal degeneration, in my humble opinion, that is an inflammatory response from your colon and that nasty inflammation sitting on your spinal cord. What else? Oh, and biotoxin binder. So the biotoxin binder is just going to start gently grabbing particles and cleaning up in your body. It should not constipate you. If it does, then there's a bigger problem. Every once in a while, you run into somebody who is pretty sensitive And if you're sensitive to the Cellcore products, then you're just super toxic. And there can be times then we have to microdose, we have to slow things down. And that's why it's really important to work with somebody, to be guided. I have a Facebook group for Cellcore, just do it yourselfers. And so there's a lot of people that jump in there and ask questions, and I don't know where they bought their stuff, but I can tell that they're not getting help. They don't have anybody to coach them through. And when that's the case, none of it's a waste. It's never a waste, but you could just, it's a professional product. So the company expects me to represent them well and to coach you. So yes, I will sell the product, but I would really prefer that you at least at a minimum join my DIY education classes and watch some of these videos so you can get that information. You can kind of know what to do and how to use the products, know when you're in trouble and that kind of thing. So that is the Jumpstart Kit. If you've done the Jumpstart Kit, you can probably try the Parakit. So in the Parakit, though, I really, if someone has been through at least a minimum of 4 months with me and they were not chronically ill, they were just kind of in good shape and just wanted to better their health, then we do the Parakit as maintenance. And I recommend that you do it at least 4 full moons, because when we did the 4-month cleanup, you have no idea what you killed for parasites. And when you kill those adults, they send out a enzyme, a signal to release or hatch those eggs. So we need to be catching those hatching cycles. So that is where the maintenance in the full moon Parakit comes on. For me, this is not a place to start. This is a place to finish and for maintenance. The kit itself comes with like these directions. So there's a beginner, an intermediate, and an advanced level, and it'll kind of tell you. A lot of us that really were chronically ill and are digging deep into trying to, I still have got a lot of room to go. So like at the advanced, we really mess with the doses. We high dose the products, and on this side they give you the product high dose. This is a high dose. This is intermediate. This is a beginner. So it all kind of depends on, well, how brave you are, for one thing, and how sick you were when you started. So it's super personal. Me on the full moon, I mix them. This has been very important to me. I do them both. Like I said, I was super sick and super full of parasites. So when I do my bioenergetic testing, they still show up. I am not parasite free. I struggle with my pancreas and producing digestive enzymes. So I do believe I still have flukes in my pancreas. Sometimes when I do blood work, like my insulin will be pretty low. My A1C and all that has always been good, but I need to get those parasites out of my pancreas before they set up disease in there, before I'm no longer producing insulin. So I'm working hard. I have got chronic Lyme issues. And I know it's in my spine. I know that Lyme is in my spine lately. My spine has been super tight. So I'm personally not doing this type of full moon. I'm using the IS products, so that deeper, more cellular level, and I'm doing methylene blue. I do methylene blue in vitamin C, and I do like at least 2 droppers full once a day. And that too, a lot of people will just jump in and start using methylene blue, not done any of the homework, not have taken out any of the big parasites. Methylene blue is great for brain fog issues. It's really, really helpful for clearing brain fog. But again, to me, that's not somewhere you start. If you've got brain fog issues, you've got tons of parasite and overgrowth issues. So like the methylene blue there too, your colon needs to be open, and that's top tier. Like that's going deeper. That's really advanced in as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people, like I've got Mark Sloan's book on methylene blue, and in the book he makes it sound like sure it's good for everybody. Jump in and use it. He doesn't talk about binders or anything like that. So that just kind of freaks me out a little bit. Like I just take all of that like really seriously, and I'm such a like heartfelt responsible type of person. Like if you're working with me, if you're in my tribe, if you're under my care, my protection, you're in my prayers. Like if there's something going on that I just struggling with, or something with one of my clients that just is not coming together, things just aren't working. So my favorite thing is just to do power walk, and I just get out and get some fresh air and say, Holy Spirit, help me figure this out. Sometimes things don't add up. We can do bioenergetic testing. We can do functional labs. And then systems and symptom analysis. And sometimes like the picture just won't come together. Or sometimes when you're bringing all that together, it's like 20 supplements and like, it's like the person is just a mess. They're just deficient everywhere. So you got to kind of try to bring it back down and simplify it and go back to the onion, go back to the jawbreaker. And you just have to start one layer at a time. My Quest bioenergetic tester really helps me with that, because I struggle as a practitioner or as a client that I want it all. I want it now. I overwhelm my clients with all this information. And instead of, it's like I want to tell them a year's worth of coaching, in that first appointment. And it's hard for me to dial that back and just play that game of chess, right? I need to work on my chess game and setting up your rooks and setting up your pawns, protecting the king and queen, and just playing the game for the long haul. That is there's wisdom in that, but it takes so much patience. And I think I worry that people aren't going to come back, that they aren't going to stick with it, that they're not going to make the change for life and really bloom and grow, right? So I always talk about the body as this compost pile. And let's see, it looks like there's still a few people that are listening to me ramble on TikTok. So that's really cool. I'm going to keep talking. I'm here at my store. I'm open. So if a customer walks in, then that's where I'm going to quit. For now, I'm going to keep talking. I really always talk about the body as a compost pile. And this makes perfect sense to me. And when I first started on my holistic health journey, I did some stuff ass backwards, like really, really backwards. I could have saved myself a lot of money. I could have saved myself a lot of time, but that was my process. I didn't know any better. So like if you've seen multiple functional practitioners, we all do things differently, and you're going to get a different answer. And we're all just practicing. We're just practicing, right? So in this process, what I did when I got this revelation about the body and healing from this different perspective, I started with food allergies, which food allergies are still good. I'm not against that, but I got this list of 30 things that I didn't eat for a year: gluten, egg, tomato, lettuce. Black pepper was a huge trigger for my heartburn. Black pepper, almond, cauliflower. The list was long. Coffee, tea, green tea, black tea, all of it on this list. Dairy, of course. And I was diligent. I was diligent for a year, and I did feel better. I took tons of liquid herbs like your adaptogenics. I took chamomile for my gut lining, ashwagandha, turmeric, you name it, all these liquid herbs, like in a shot glass, and took them twice a day. Avoided all these food allergies, and I was a lot better. I was. At that point, I had done the testing. I knew that I had Hashimoto's thyroiditis. My inflammation markers really were never that bad. My A1C was never that bad. My insulin was stable. So, and my liver always looked fine. So on paper, totally looked fine. So I just started in doing what my practitioner told me, following all these things, and I was better. But I wasn't better to the tune of my effort and the finances I was putting in. And then that is where I came into the knowledge and partnered with the Cellcore Biosciences and started doing the parasite work. When I started doing the parasite work, everything changed. Everything changed. And now I had done a stool test. I just have to tell you that those stool tests, they're good for like telling you about your liver function and telling you about your digestive enzymes and your good and your bad bacteria, but they're worthless if you're thinking they're going to find parasites. Because I had done a stool test and it was negative. It told me I had no parasites. But what I seen in the toilet, you can go back on my YouTube videos, you can scroll through my old TikTok from a couple years ago, and there were definitely parasites in me and coming out of me by the poop loads. So anyway, now I say that is like a compost pile. Our body is a compost pile. So what I was doing before with the food allergies, it was good. It was healing. It was reducing the inflammation in my gut. It needed to be done. And then I was doing all these herbs. So those things I consider like heirloom organic seeds, right? So if I was to go to the store and physically buy heirloom organic seeds, then, and I was a gardener, right? So if I had these priceless, beautiful seeds, I would be super, super picky about where I planted them, right? I wouldn't go get old dirt out of some pots out of my garage. I wouldn't go to a nasty, sludgy, swampy garden spot with no drainage. I wouldn't go and plant next to my fuel. We farm and ranch. We have huge fuel containers. I wouldn't go plant things right next to that fuel container, right? I would pull all the weeds. I would work the soil. I would fertilize it. I would cultivate it. And then I would plant my precious seeds in there. If I was just to haphazardly take those precious seeds and plant them wherever, like in, some old planters next to the house that grew things 5 years ago, I would not be surprised when they barely came up. Or the ones that did come up, I would be like, oh, this little seed, isn't that wonderful? And I would be so impressed with it, this little seed. Well, the way I was doing things, that is what I had done. I had taken these beautiful organic tools, all these herbs, these food allergies, and I planted them in a toxic waste dump, expecting a full return of health, right? So when you say it like that, it's like, duh, no wonder that didn't work. So now, like with the foundation, that Cellcore foundation, whether you're a comprehensive patient and it takes us 9 months to get through the foundation, or whether you're just, starting to struggle, or you feel pretty good, you just like to feel your best again, and your foundation is only 4 months. No matter what we do, when we really deep dive, detox, and clean out that funnel, that parasite, the bad bacteria, the Para-2 really, really works on bad bacteria like the H. pylori and the other things that are out of whack, your C. diff, all of that. When we just back up And don't worry so much about what we're going to plant in this body, and just pull the weeds. In my opinion, the weeds also mean the emotions, the traumas, all of those things are in the weeds. They go hand in hand. We can't pull those weeds without addressing the emotions and the emotional traumas as well. So that's all part of it. I use bioenergetic testing to help with that emotional part. I have a couple of awesome scans. One is just on a basic emotional profile. There's another, my other favorite one is called Never Well Since. So you send me a saliva sample and I scan you energetically, and then I get back this information to you. We sit down, we go over the information, and we pull these weeds together. That Never Well Since, a lot of times it's never well since, and there's some kind of sexual pregnancy, abuse, miscarriage is one of the huge things, the never well since. Sometimes it's never well since heat stroke, never well since altitude sickness, never well since seashore or weather things. Just amazing. And we do that layer by layer. Then what my energetic machine imprints for you, for the client, a specific, I just use ozonated distilled water, and I imprint that balancing energy and mail it back to you. So we've got, this is another tool. So like, anger stores up in your liver, and I've had people who were just stuck, and this was before I got my energetic balancing option. I didn't have that option then. But I had a client who had done so much, and we were just stuck on her liver. And I can be an empath, and sometimes I'm just bawling for no apparent reason, and we're looking at, or I'm talking to her about her liver, and I'm like, this is as far as I can get you. Like, and I'm just bawling, and she's sitting there fine with an angry look on her face. And I'm like, until you forgive whatever this is coming out in me right now, until you forgive, until you work on this unforgiveness, or this chip, or whatever it is, that's what's stored in your liver right now, and I'm just mascara running all down my face, and like, oh, and it's got nothing to do with me. That's just that physical and emotional connection that I tend to have. Not everybody does that to me, and it's completely out of my control when and if it happens, but it happens kind of frequently. And then I have to do more self-care and pour back into me that energy drain and those things that I've lost. But I feel so fortunate to have this tool to offer my clients. So I also do, my bracelets are energetically imprinted. That becomes a little bit more difficult when you're working with me from a distance, because we have to do some back and forth, and maybe you'll have two sets. So if you don't want to be without them, when you send me your saliva sample, you send me your bracelets back, and then after I do your tests and your imprint, I can use pellets, or like castor oil, or even for the emotional things as well. I use Young Living oils. So I blend the emotion line in castor oil, and then my software will say which one is a good pair for you. So I will put your energetic release energy into that good smelling, lost my train of thought, that good smelling emotional oil, and then you can use that wherever you want. Or like I was saying, the bracelets, we imprint them. I also can do those sugar pellets. I have a imprinted muscle relaxer that is great for the tension on your neck. But even from a distance, working with clients, we go back and forth. it's no big deal. We just mail it. And if you really love your bracelets, you're going to want 2 sets. They're super affordable. They're $8 a piece, and then they're re-imprinted. I have quite a few on stock. So if you like rocks, crystals, that kind of thing, and the healing energies that are already in them, and then we layer on your personal energetic energy. So that is a really, really, it's like for me, I tend to be super non-compliant, especially with a 3 time a day regimen. So I get really lazy about getting my imprints in my mouth. So if I just have them here, then I'm just energized and getting that balancing energy all day, and I don't have to worry about taking those drops. So for me, it's totally worth it. I can see on TikTok there have been a few messages. Sorry about my not replying. I am just rattling and I don't have glasses. So I can see a lot of join. I can see a lot of new messages, but I can't really see what they say. So I would love to connect with you. And this video, if you just jumped in, if you didn't get it all, it will be on Facebook. Well, I'll probably keep it up on Facebook for a while, but it will be on my YouTube channel. It'll be like under the live tab. So you can go back. If you'd like to work with me, I have openings for a handful of clients. I have got a handful that will be graduating and coming off the program. So the maintenance is kind of DIY, and that always opens up new room for new clients. So even if I was to tell you I had a waiting list, that really changes often as people come and as people go. So right now I've got room for a handful of new sign-ons, and then there will be graduates coming. So I'm I'm working on developing a couple of my colleagues to mentor and to kind of fill in the gaps for me. So as I get busier, I am looking at taking on a couple more coaches that can do. I always like to do the initial assessment and the testing, the lab testing, and sitting down with you. I go over whatever. Most of my clients have already got a bunch of blood work and they've done a bunch of tests with the medical provider, and it tells them nothing. It's gotten them nowhere. So I like to do all of that myself. If your tests are like more than 2 years old, it's not that we can't talk about it, but for me to sit down and really analyze it and utilize it, it's kind of old news. Like you're just not who you were 2 years ago. So but most people, they've had their thyroid looked at, they've been told they're fine, they've had their cortisol, their hormones, all of that is looked at, and they're fine, right? The doctor says you're fine, but you're not fine. So I will never turn that over to one of my coaches. That initial assessment and all of that, I want to do myself. Your functional labs, whatever you're doing with me at the here and now, I want to do that myself. Let's see, verify. Oh, I think refresh, swipe. Sorry, TikTok wants me to make sure I'm still here. That means I've been going too long. So, yep, I'm still here. So what I was saying is I will never outsource that. The initial assessment, all of that deep work, really getting to know you, I'm always going to do myself. When things are going good and you're progressing along, then, like I said, and this is a work in progress. I am just developing some coaches, some assistants, and I will never turn you over to somebody unless we're good with that, unless you're good with that. So there's that. If you would like to get a hold of me, if you would like to work with me, you can go to my link in bio. I'm always updating that thing, but I'm pretty sure it's the first link that will just take you to my website. Once you get to my website, there's all different sorts of information and places that you can click, and it'll get you to my booking system, my HIPAA compliant medical grade booking system. And you are just going to want to click on the Awaken Wellness call. So it's a free discovery call. My system is going to send you a couple of kind of short forms for you to fill out before that call, so I can get to know you a little bit better, and we can make the most use of our time. So we can even see like if we're a good fit, or if we're just totally uncompatible. My little niche pitch is that I work with ambitious, open-minded professionals. So if you are an ambitious, open-minded professional, and like in that little pitch, I'm not supposed to say like negative things, but I just want to say if you're sick of being lied to, then we're probably a good fit. If you feel like you have been misled and lied to, if you're ready to take responsibility for your health, that means responsibility for your mistakes. We're gonna clean up the mistakes. We're gonna celebrate the wins together. We're gonna do all that. But you have got to be open-minded. You have got to be ready for me to really say some half crazy stuff to you. And I'll try not to do it on all on the first appointment. I do have different levels of programs. There is a jumpstart, an intermediate, and then a total transformation. So we'll figure that out. We'll figure out where you fit in. A lot of people just start with the jumpstart, and to even see if they can commit to it. Is this sustainable? Or are they just boom, falling right back into their old habits? And because I don't want to waste your money and I don't want to waste my time. This is a lot of work for me. Like, I invest my heart and soul. I always say, when you come under my wing, when you come under my protective wing, I take that like super seriously. I've just been starting to what is that, Enneagram, like personality books. I've been listening to some podcasts. I just ordered the book, and if you know anything about that, I fall into the number 8 personality type, which is super protective, like that guardianship role. And I'm not that friendly. I don't really have close friends, but I when but I just want to protect everybody. And like, I'm a grandma now, so like, this world that we live in today, and protecting my grandbabies and my bloodline means the world to me. Like, look at my eyes. I just get a little bit emotional when I even think about it, and what what the world is going to be like when they're 30, right? So I take protecting them, I take protecting you very, very seriously. And I'm real. Like I said, I'm still known to eat junk food. I've done a couple of videos lately where it's like, how about if we stop counting carbs and macros and start counting poison in our food, but I'm so real. I live in a tiny town in Montana where everybody farms and ranches and sprays everything with Roundup and still feeds their beef, their own good beef in their own homegrown feedlots, corn. So that's where I'm at. This world is real, and we can only do the best that we can do. But every day we wake up and we recommit to ourselves, and we insure ourselves, and then we take a lot of Cellcore biotoxin binder so we don't freak out about those things that we can't control, because the chemtrails are real, the 5G towers are real, like the spiritual warfare is real. So we're just going to band together of like mind, and one by one, we might not change the world, right? But we can change our world. It's our world that we need peace within. We need peace in our world, and especially the more out of control the world gets. We just got to bring it back down. So to end this video, I'm the worst at wrapping up a video. I could just rattle on all day, but I just have to give reverence to my Lord. I serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I call him Yahweh. I don't know what you call him or what your religious or spiritual sense is, but that's who where I'm at. I believe he spoke and created the world. And that, my friend, is how powerful your frequencies are. So I'm not all up into manifesting and all that. I think there's some dangerous lines a person can get into, but I do believe where the mind goes, the man follows. No matter what it is that you do, whatever you're thinking about, if it's a cheeseburger and that's what's on your mind, pretty soon you're driving in your car on the way to McDonald's and you don't even know how you got there. So we do need to train our mind. We need to discipline our mind. If our mind and our habits are thinking about sugar and thinking about sugar and thinking about sugar, I'll work with you to try to replace those behaviors. Maybe we're going to boil up some sugar-proof tea so you're hand to mouth and you have something to do. But we're going to work on all that. We're going to work on all of it. We're going to energy, trauma, thoughts, toxins, parasites, all of it. Again, go to my website, is awakenedwellnessllc.com. Go to my link in bio. You guys have an awesome full moon. Get out, get some fresh air and howl at the moon. My 4-year-old granddaughter, she's always out there. Ow, ow. So get your howl on, however that looks to you.